Offsiders, welcome to another episode of Offside Talk. As always, I'm your host, Emin, and I'm with my co-host, Fatih.
Hello there.
Before we go into any content, Fatih, I want to talk about something today. Subscriptions, guys. If you can subscribe to us on YouTube, please. Follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook. It really helps out. We are a page that's trying to grow, and we would really appreciate the support.
Yeah, there's a button there somewhere near the badge. There's always a button. There's a subscribe button down there. So, yeah, your effort will be gladly appreciated in this matter.
Thank you very much, guys, in advance. Let's hit up some of these big things. Of course, the world's a little bit yucky right now. It's a little bit mixed up with the whole...
Getting better.
With coronavirus, but I think other issues have come into play now with the whole Black Lives Matter. Look, I wanted to sort of make a segue into this topic. Of course, big news this week is that Dele Alli will miss his first game back against Manchester United. After him posting a video on Snapchat, he's at an airport, Vats, and he pretty much points the camera at a certain ethnicity and says the coronavirus has got to be faster to catch up with me or something. Obviously, whether it was intended or not, there was a racial, slur there. And he's been given a £50,000 fine as well.
It's nothing for him.
Nothing for him, but we've got FIFA endorsing the whole say no to racism. There's been this talk about it. Obviously, he's coloured, and we've seen all the racism, unfortunately, around football the last couple of seasons with coloured people, and it's a little bit insensitive of him to behave the way that he did. It's just a segue into the whole Black Lives Matter thing at the moment.
Yeah, look, that video of him was actually, it's not new. Like, we've seen it when the coronavirus and stuff happened. I think that they did a very judgmental decision into what's actually happening. Like, I'm talking about from the FA perspective. Mm-hmm. If it was a problem, they would have done it on the spot. Why wait till the Premier League's just about to start to handle, to put a fine out and then to ban him from a game when everyone's trying to prep up their best to get the league started? Mm-hmm. I get it's wrong from them. Wrong from him, I should say. But look, this whole racism topic is so sensitive. Like, not just football, just in general. Do you know what I mean? Where even Raheem Sterling came out and said that, where he believes that black coaches don't get as much often considered for high level jobs. Mm-hmm. And I started looking into that and all that type of stuff, and apparently across 91 managers across all the entire football English league, the 91 managers, 6 of them are considered non-white background.
Okay.
But does that really fall down to the fact of skin color, or does it fall down to results? Does that make sense? Where are people actually being considered for jobs and then going, okay, no, but we're picking him because he's white? Or are they actually going, man, I'm picking him because he's better? Do you know what I mean? So it's sort of hard to say, yeah, they are, and yeah, they aren't. But from a ratio perspective, the numbers perspective, obviously supports the cause. Mm-hmm. But we look at some of the managers that Sterling actually said himself. One of them was Sol Campbell. Okay. Now, this guy is currently managing Macclesfield. I remember I actually searched how to say this town's name. I think it was Macclesfield Town. Okay, so he's currently coaching Southend United, but he started at Macclesfield Town. Mm-hmm. Now, the stats for this is played 30, won 8, drew 12, lost 10. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? And that's a win percentage of just under 27%.
Yeah, not the greatest.
Not the greatest, right?
Yeah.
So then we go, okay, maybe it was just a one-off. Maybe it was just, he was just having a bad time and, players were just underperforming, injuries, blah, blah, blah. Let's just say that hypothetically. Now he's coaching at Southend United. So he's played 23. He's won 4. He's drawn 5. And he's lost 14. Mm-hmm. So that's a win percentage of less than 18%.
It's worse.
So, again, I'm not saying every coach of
coloured
background is Sol Campbell's stats here. Yeah. There could be amazing players. There could be amazing coaches out there that are just flying under the radar and just not working. Do you know? But to throw his name out there, you surely got to back him up here.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you're saying Sol Campbell, but I'm not going to pick... I doubt a Premier League team's going to pick him when the stats speak for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then people are putting names like Gerrard, and they're putting Lampard out there. And it's just more like, okay, Gerrard's at Rangers, okay, and he's doing quite a good job, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get Celtic pretty much wins the league every single year, but he sort of feels like he's getting the knowledge needed to... How can I say it? The knowledge needed to go and say, okay, you know what, I coach the team. I not only try to challenge for the title, I'm in the Europa League and I'm doing my best. He's getting experience from, say, a sort of major league and European football.
Mm-hmm.
While you got another manager like Sol Campbell in this scenario who's struggling to even win games. So who are you going to pick?
Yeah, that's true. And we're not saying here that Sol Campbell is the benchmark of all
100%.
coloured coaches. I mean, you have coaches like Frank Rijkaard, who I would consider is coloured.
Yeah.
And he's a legendary coach.
And look what he did at Barca.
Yeah. So we're not basing it off, but like, I think it's a whole thing, and this is probably going to get us in, I don't know, another can of worms here, but the whole, like, you know, with the feminist movement, they're saying that, you know, most highly promoted people are white men. At the same time, like, it's hard to look at statistics and say, okay, this is happening or it's not happening. But you bring up a good point. If they're doing their jobs, then they're going to be promoted and take on bigger teams in bigger leagues.
But see, I think from a feminist perspective, I shouldn't say feminist, from a feminism perspective, it's a lot more different in my opinion, because here we're talking about skin color, and over there we're looking at two different completely like topics here, because one, yeah, is skin color, you can address that, but the male dominated sport for football generates a lot more revenue than the women's side does, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm pretty sure I read a stat that the women's side for the US-based national team, football team, actually did earn more money over a set year, I think, than the men did.
Okay.
In that scenario, pay them more. I don't disagree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't come and tell me that the Australian women's team, okay, and the Australian men's team, for example, when they were going for the World Cup, when they're making the last 16, when there's much more revenue, when there's sponsorships coming out of their asses and all that type of stuff, you got to balance the revenue stream there.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to pay the women's team, say hypothetically, 10 million, but the revenue is only $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
That federation is going to bust.
Yeah.
So you're not going to pay the Portuguese women's team the same rate you're going to be paying the men's team.
Yeah.
Because that's just the way sport is, unfortunately. And that's not just football. You know, you look at tennis, it's the same thing. A lot of people have the argument, would you rather watch Federer and Nadal or Serena and whoever's number two?
Mm-hmm.
And majority of the time, you're going to pick the two GOATs of all time.
Yeah.
So, look, when it comes to this whole racism thing, I don't think it falls down to skin color per se. I think it's just more along the lines of, unfortunately, the selection pool, where teams like Tottenham Hotspur, for example, or I'll give you the best example here, Newcastle United. We talk about their takeover.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the first two names that came to our heads?
Yeah.
It's Rafa Benitez, Mauricio Pochettino.
Mm-hmm.
But are we going to go? But we need to add someone of skin color there because to balance the ratio out.
But that's the thing. Those people, those two names are not necessarily white. You know what I mean? They're still people of color.
I think it's more along the line they're looking for, like, from the way Sterling is talking about it, from the way that it's just being portrayed in the media, it's literally one color or not color.
Yeah.
As simple as that. It's not, oh, we're finding a middle ground sort of thing here. But look, even from a sense of Black Lives Matter we're talking about, okay, you look at Thierry Henry.
Mm-hmm.
He went and managed and did absolutely horrible, okay? Does that mean that we go, okay, but we got to give him another chance because he's a bit more dark-skinned?
Yeah.
But Gary Neville went to Valencia and flopped fucking immensely. I wouldn't hire him. I'll probably get Sol Campbell to fucking manage more than Gary Neville.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, this guy's that skin color, and make my decision. I'm going to mate, what's your stats?
Yeah.
Are you fitted for my team? Simple as that.
Best man for the job.
It is the best man
And
for the
I
job.
don't think there's a question of black players getting paid less than white players in the league or anything like that. It's just from a strictly managerial thing that he's complaining about, Raheem Sterling.
I think he's more just saying the opportunities to come forward to coloured players or coloured coaches or coloured referees, for example. Look, at the end of the day, if you're telling me the best referee on earth is a coloured person or a black or whatever, a tanned person, whatever you want to call him, okay, pick him. I don't care.
Yeah.
If he's the best for the job. If it's a woman that's best for the job, pick her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. And I'm pretty sure if someone's doing an amazing job on the field, you're not going to go, oh, they're doing it because they're such or they're X, if, for example. But look,
in saying that, look, a lot of this argument comes down to, oh, you guys are white, so you're privileged. You see that if there is a thing where black coaches aren't being given an opportunity where we don't even get to see their stats and how they're performing at these teams or whatever, then that's something that we can't see from an outsider.
correct.
If this is happening, then definitely there should be an uprise and there should be people voicing their opinions about it. But from how you've explained it, saying we should be picking the best man for the job, whether they're black, they're white, they're purple. I've never been in that scene, so I don't understand. I don't know if there is a better black candidate who is not being picked
100%.
because of his skin. So we offside talk have said it many times that we're completely against racism. We're all for equal opportunity. We are not saying here that, and we're not basing these off 2 or 3 statistics that we found on coaches who've performed badly. We're just saying if there isn't an opportunity for these black and white people to get the job and they're not performing, then they should be replaced, whether they're white, brown, or purple.
Exactly. I mean, we look at Pele, 3 World Cups. Am I going to keep him off a list of greatest players of all time?
No, definitely not.
Exactly. So, look, at the end of the day, it might, again, just to re-irritate, if that makes sense, because, like I said, it is a very sensitive topic.
Yeah.
Best man for the job or best woman for the job, I don't care. If they're getting results, that's what matters in football. Again, if I have to give even a broader opinion here, there's too much political correctness currently happening across everything, where a lot of associations are getting involved in aspects and sort of pushing their agendas to people when, again, this is a sport. Do you know what I mean? We're watching people go on there. We're not forcing children to agree with something that they have no idea about and constantly flooding marketing medias and stuff like that. Just stick to the sport, okay? If there's harassment going on, deal with the harassment. If there's racism going on, deal with it. Like, it's generally not that hard. And you know what the funny thing is as well? So Dele Alli did that, and it's considered racism, okay? And he gets a 1-match ban, okay? When a fan does it, it's lifetime.
Yeah, true.
When Suarez did it, it's 7-8 games. Okay, I understand it's a different context. I understand Suarez also bit people, but if you come out and say, okay, you know what, you're proven to be racist. You want to set a hard line here. Okay, you're found out to be doing racist stuff, man. 15 games.
Yeah.
Do it.
I think what it came down to, from what I was reading, is that it was implied racism, so it wasn't directly saying that. So there was the whole. In fact, Dele Alli appealed for it and said I wasn't being racist, and FA said no. There was, what's the word?
Applied.
Not applied. There's I just said it before.
It's gone out of my head too.
Anyway, like he was suggesting that there was racism involved. So that's why they've given him the 1 match. I think if he was blatantly racist and he said, "Oh, this man is of this background and that's why he might have coronavirus," then I think it would have been a lot more harshly punished.
Yeah, that is true. Look, at the end of the day, the FA makes all the rules. If they want something taken care of, harsher penalties.
And
Simple.
the word was implied. It just wasn't coming.
Implied,
There was
that's
implied racism there. So it wasn't direct racism. It was implied.
Implied racism. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, we made our view very clear here. Best man for the job or best woman for the job.
Yeah. Moving on to some less sensitive news, maybe. We've been talking about what's going to happen with the whole coronavirus and the breaks and what happens with transfer season. So FIFA has confirmed this week that the transfer window will be open before the end of the 1920 season. So usually it would have happened, next month, Fats?
What are we in now?
June.
We're in mid-June. Usually starts beginning of July-ish.
Yep.
And usually transfer deals around this time would have already been starting to happen because the seasons would have been done.
Exactly.
And then it would have started to kick in July-ish.
So we have seasons just starting back up as of this week and next week. So FIFA has said that that teams can make transfers before this season is over. And then there was the whole question raised of whether those players who've been newly transferred would be able to play in this season or next season. The biggest thing here is a lot of players go out of contracts in June, at the end of June. So FIFA has said, yes, these players who are transferred this transfer season can finish off this season. Also, they've gone out and said that players usually can play for 2 clubs in a season. In this season, FIFA are allowing players to play for 3 clubs. Off air, you sort of explained this, Fats. Do you want to just tell the viewers what this means?
Yeah, so it's roughly along the lines of, I'll give Willian for an example here. If he's playing for Chelsea now and he's come to an agreement with Chelsea and he said, okay, I'm going to play and finish off the season for you. Okay, so technically you're still playing for Chelsea despite being within a transfer window, if that's the route that they're going with. And then he says, okay, I'm going to Arsenal. Then he transfers to Arsenal and he's playing for them at the beginning of the season. Then the next transfer window after that, which would be the winter period for the in UK, then he decides to, I don't know, go to Tottenham, for example. There's your 3 teams there.
Okay.
So, look, I think that's fair. I think that's fair, considering that everything that's been happening with COVID, players not knowing if they're going to do their contracts or not. I think that fell down to the player and the club itself, making that agreement, who's going to finish off what season. Like, I think it was last week we discussed Jan Vertonghen. He said that he was aiming to finish off his season at Tottenham. He could opt to leave if he wants to because he will be technically out of contract.
That's right.
But doing the dirty on a club, or especially if you've been a long time server of the club or something like that, that's the last thing you want to do. Especially in a position where if your team is trying to fight for European football or trying to fight for the title, you don't want to do that to your fans. So look, I personally think the players currently should stay with the team unless there is other issues that we don't know about, whether it's salary or any other issues in the background in the dressing room and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that 3 transfer window should be a good one for all teams across the board.
In saying that, though, obviously a big club like Barcelona comes out theoretically, they pay 250 million euro for a player. They're going to want him playing the end of this season, especially if the title race is close. I understand the whole thing of, I got to finish off this season, but if you're buying them, I think it's a good choice that they can play in this season, unless it's like negotiated before the contract or whatever that happens.
I think that's going to be quite rare.
I think so too.
That would be very rare because even the player itself, if you're paying, like, there's only a few players that actually fit that margin. Do you know what I mean? Say 200 million plus. So let's just say 100 million plus. There's only a few players that fit that. How many teams are going to actually sell a player of that high caliber towards
in
the
a
end?
critical stage of the season?
Correct, at a critical stage. Unless that player's, injured or he's coming off from injury or premiership is secured and he's like, you know what, I've done my job here. I'd like to go potentially win 2 trophies in one season or whatever it is. That I can sort of justify, but yeah, I think that would be quite rare to happen in this scenario. Yeah,
but all round, I think it's a good decision. You're not delaying the start of the next season by waiting for negotiations and transfers to happen beforehand. So it just gets a quicker start on next season. Teams can start making their adjustments for the next season. In saying that, though, Serie A has come out and said that their transfer season is going to be between September 1 and October 5. So although FIFA has said that it can happen, it's up to individual leagues to when they want to start. I think the FA is discussing to move their transfer window from August to October. So it's on the individual leagues and what decisions they make.
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait till, I reckon a lot of the teams are just waiting a lot of the divisions are just waiting to open up. And I think as the rounds will go on, we'll start hearing a lot more information, especially leading up towards the end of the season, which route every Premiership or every division is going to go with, whether it's a Bundesliga or stuff. So
I think the biggest priority right now is just to finish off this season. So, like you said, once stuff gets going, we'll be hearing a lot more about this.
yeah, it's easy for you. You're going to win the Premiership.
Yeah, exactly. Staying away from EPL for a bit, La Liga.
Yeah, La Liga started off
this morning.
This morning, our time.
Yeah.
Sevilla, easy win, 2-0 there. Look, at the end of the day, I think everyone in Spain is probably happy that football's back. This is still early days for the La Liga. We'll probably give a better rounded up summary of La Liga once all the games over the weekend have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Good to see. Well, we will see what state Barcelona and Real Madrid are. They are the leading two in the
very
division.
Close. Barca's on 58 and Real Madrid on 56 points.
There you go.
Very close.
Any slip up here could be quite horrendous for any of these teams.
It's I think before we go into too much about the teams, Fats, something on La Liga. Have you seen the schedule? They're playing a game like every 3 days.
Pretty congested.
It's a very congested thing, and it's going to be interesting in the title race because it's not only going to be who is the better team, it's going to be who is the fitter team and who stayed fitter. Because you drop a few points early in this, and it's going to be hard to catch up again.
Yeah, I think Barcelona's sweating on Suarez to become available again. He was injured previously, and I think the whole COVID thing has helped his resurrection back into the team, if that makes sense. Messi's on sweat alert, if that makes sense as well. He was individually training, I believe, early this week or late last week, so I'm not too sure if that's changed or not from their perspective, unless they're playing the Joker card here and he's actually fine and he just doesn't want to train. Even Real Madrid, you got Bale. He's not he's not hiding from any injuries as well at the moment, but that can change because he's always been injury prone.
Mm-hmm.
Hazard has come out and said, I can't keep fit. He's eating too much.
Fat again.
He's fatting again. So, look, hopefully, at the end of the day, title race, hopefully it'll be as contested as what it can be in La Liga, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It is these two. Atletico Madrid did drop off, but they are progressing in the Champions League, which they might keep their focus on that.
I think Sevilla's third, aren't they? I think they're in third place.
I think with the victory, I think they're in third.
Yeah.
But yeah, Atletico, they just dropped off completely.
Yeah.
I think they were top 3 for a while, and then I think Champions League now is a major priority after knocking out the champions.
Yeah. A little bit more tightly contested league. One that maybe you guys don't watch too much. I personally follow it very closely is the Turkish league starting up again this weekend. That's very tight. Of course, first place, second place tied in at 53 points with Trabzonspor and Başakşehir. Galatasaray 3 points behind. They've got 2 hard games, Trabzonspor and Başakşehir, to open up the season. It'll be interesting to see how this one goes.
Yeah, obviously we're very biased here when it comes to Galatasaray. With all 3 podcasters, Galatasaray supporters, but with the resurgence of Trabzonspor, it's been good. Mm-hmm. It has been good for the league, if that makes sense.
That definitely, and it's been a very tight league for the last 3 or 4 seasons. So last season was only won by one. Last season was won by goal difference, and then the year before was only 1 or 2 points. So it's been a very, very tight competition. Başakşehir being up there all 2 or 3 years now.
Exactly, and the only thing that would maybe make it what's the word I'm looking for? A shit run for Trabzonspor is obviously with their pending UEFA ban. Does that sort of take it off their agenda? Why win the league, sort of thing?
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna have to wait and see once the league does kick off. It's going to be a major victory whoever wins out of that game. Yep. So between Trabzon and Başakşehir, hopefully Galatasaray does come up from behind and take the win in the last second. I don't mind that.
Yeah, there's no bias there at all.
There's no bias there. I've got to root for my team. So
look, no one's going to be everyone's biased here because football is coming back. I mean, we got EPL back next week, Fats. We got Serie A back next week. It's been great watching Bundesliga, but it's just so much nicer to have La Liga and the Turkish league back this week. Obviously, everything coming back in within the next week. So happy football fans here.
Exactly right. Moving into football news for the week. There is not much happening, but I've managed to scrap the barrel here and try to fit as much as possible. So here's your football news. for the week in under 2 to 3 minutes, and hopefully it is under 2-3 minutes. As we've said, Sevilla beat Real Betis 2-0 on the return of La Liga. La Liga returning this weekend with majority of the rest of the games. The Timo Werner deal is reportedly held up due to the COVID. They can't run the medical, which is causing a bit of a delay, whether that's rumours or not. Could be just another ploy in trying to get more money. Van Dijk reportedly is lined up to be the most expensive player in Liverpool history. Now, reportedly £220,000 a week. Considering his age, considering the way he's performing, don't blame him. This is a funny one for Liverpool fans. Karius reportedly wants to come back to Liverpool and fight for his future. I don't know how that will go, considering the form and another small player named Alisson in goals. Inter reportedly is interested in Hector Bellerin. And now Bellerin on his day is an amazing defender. Not on his day, he's a good fashion designer. Australian referee Jared Gillett reportedly might be the first foreign referee in the Premier League. Now, I believe that this decision is coming because of the congestion of how many games that they are currently playing, and we still have Carling and FA Cup and all that type of stuff. So he might actually be the first foreign referee in the Premier League.
Yeah, go Aussie.
Liverpool won 6-0 in the friendly against Blackburn, while Arsenal lost 3-2 to Brentford. Now, on social media, would like to post a video, but we don't have the rights for it, unfortunately. There is David Luiz absolutely making a fucking great mistake for a Chelsea fan that led to one of the goals. Trying to juggle over a few players, and I think he was just in the middle of a circus himself. So it might be a bit harsh to look out for Arsenal fans with the Premier League just about to start up. And we've touched on this before. Dele Alli is banned for 1 game due to the racist social media video that he posted up with the coronavirus. And that's your football news for the week in under 2 to 3 minutes. Was it 2-3?
Just over 2 again.
Just over 2. Beautiful. So we're still under the 2 to 3 minute guideline there. Football news for the week is summarised, Em. Do you have anything more to add for this week?
It's just interesting that look, I'm not saying that Van Dijk doesn't deserve the pay rise that he is getting, but I think Klopp came out earlier this week and said there's a lot of Liverpool players, supporters who are upset that the Timo Werner deal didn't come through. And he said it's hard to talk about a deal that's so expensive when we're talking about doing salary cuts, but then you're giving one of your players a pay rise. So just something interesting.
Well, I think the rumour was that rather than Timo Werner, I think they were trying to solidify the deals of Van Dijk and Alisson for long-term contracts. Now, Timo Werner's not proven in the Premier League, and I'm saying that as a Chelsea supporter. Okay, yes, he does have that bruteness to him that he does in the Bundesliga, and he is playing a lot better from a left-wing perspective. But to secure Van Dijk and to secure Alisson could be a massive step forward for Liverpool. And our defender and our keeper or our leader, for example, locked in for a while. What do we have left to go and look for players? Because Klopp is not, again, he's not known to go and buy 100, 200 million pound players. So he might turn around and say, man, I found a gem in the Bundesliga as well. He's playing in the Bundesliga too, and he's going to score 30 goals for us. So maybe that's what he's looking for, rather than spending 53, 60 million pounds. Let me secure my future and try to find a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, there's no Liverpool supporter who's going to complain about Alisson and Van Dijk being re-signed. So I just thought it was interesting that in a week that he talked about, pay cuts, and then you get all these pay rises. So interesting. That is all from us this week.
That is all from us, man.
And as always, guys, where Fats was showing, it pops up where here.
Yeah, roughly there, yeah.
Please follow us on all our social media, guys. It really would help us out a lot. We've got some exciting stuff coming, honestly. We're just waiting for this COVID stuff to blow over. So, as always, stay offside, guys.